Firstly, a congratulations to the winner of the free game this week. Your name is on the screen right now, and your comment, which was very, very delightfully normal. I reached over and poked my wife in the shoulder and said, just read this. She went, that's normal. I said, I know, right? And it was instantly a winner. Oh, are we excited for next week's releases? There's some good games coming out. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you some coverage of Red Dead Redemption. Well, we definitely will. But before we do that, it's customary that we come together to celebrate our ever-growing backlogs. And there are some nice games on sale. Well, let's be honest, with over there's usually about 1,500 games on sale. There's always something good, but it's trying to dig out those little gems, and we've got quite a few of them this week. Don't pay full price though, save yourself 10%. Use code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg to buy your eShop credit. You get 5% off instantly and 5% back in coins. I'm so sorry about the people that don't have access to that. I know it's not all regions. We have tried, but for some weird reason, the same rules don't seem to apply across, well, yeah, different places. But you can buy other regions and set up another region account, so there is an option there. And I know tons of you prefer physical, so you use PlayAsia, and we have a link to discount on that as well. Okay, what are the best games on sale this week? Let's find out. First up, this would normally go into the Savaloy Selection at the end of the video, but it has to go in here. It's Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, which is currently 90% off. That's absolutely insane. Now, I'm sure you've heard about Daedalic Entertainment and the troubles they've had since the release of Gollum, and the sale they have on at the moment is just so huge on all their games. It's definitely the time to pick them up. This is an old school point-and-click style adventure, but you do control the characters directly, and it's 3 different storylines that overlap each other, set within medieval times and based on a very popular set of novels. These 12th century locations have over 200 different hand-painted scenes, and the whole thing is fully voice acted. The story's based around a war, and it's just brutal. Some horrible things happen, they really do, but also a lot of good. There's a bit of a love story in there, there's a redemption arc, and it's quite a subtle game, I guess. Nothing's over the top, and it's grounded in reality, which I really do enjoy, especially in these point-and-click adventure style games. For that price, it is well worth it. The sale goes on until September the 10th as well, so you've got absolutely ages. That's Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, and it will take you around about 15 to 20 hours as well. A bargain. Second this week, we've got King's Bounty 2, the Lord's Edition, which is 80% off until August the 17th. If you watch the channel a lot, especially our All Patched Up series, you'll know King's Bounty has been revisited many times, and it has been patched up so many times. Now, it's not perfect. There are still things like some of the movement that you can probably see on the screen is a little bit, I don't want to say janky because that's a bit harsh, but it's a little bit janky. But it's very cool because it mixes a traditional style RPG with these turn-based battles where you're directing your own army. So you can build up an army in one of 3 different factions. There may even be more than that now in this version, but you can't, well, you can, but you really have to be careful about who you choose to be in your army, because, for example, if you put skeletons in with humans, they're not going to get along, and that will affect their morale and the way that they fight. And the same goes for if you find a bear, grizzly bear, and have that as one of your units. You don't want to be pairing that up with, I don't know, Little Red Riding Hood or something. It just, yeah, it just wouldn't work, would it? You don't need to have played the original King's Bounty to enjoy this. I think you just have to have realistic expectations when going in. As yet, you will see a couple of bugs and a few slowdowns and things, and the walking speed is a little slow, but the actual adventure, the number of side quests, and once you get to grips with that combat, which is pretty damn brutal at the start, it's a whole lot of fun. That's just £7.99, that's 80% off until August the 17th. Blackguards 2 is another that was a hidden gem once, but it's now £1.29. That's 90% off, and what this is another RPG, but it has turn-based strategy battles. It's got a really good storyline. I'm playing Baldur's Gate at the moment, and that is like the GOAT of storylines, but this one starts out really well as well. You're essentially thrown into this hideous prison, and you rot there with a load of spiders and gradually get more and more corrupted, and your breakout is pretty damn epic. From there, you're on this massive vengeance quest, gathering up a large army, and the storytelling is spot on. You can command up to 20 different characters in your party, and you're basically very much like XCOM, command them in terms of which attacks you go for. If you go for melee or ranged, there are loads of spells to learn, and I was surprised when I played this because I thought I would have heard about it more than I have. I think I paid about £7 for it, but for £1, I'm trying to think of what fast food product you couldn't afford for that. I mean, it's most of them, isn't it? You couldn't get chips and curry sauce for that. Oh man, I am so hungry. That sale goes on until September the 10th, so it's a part of the Daedalic sale that I was talking about at the start there. It's 90% off, and you're looking at 7.3 gigs. As far as gameplay goes, about 20 to 30 hours. Then we've got Vampire Survivors, which comes out next week. Why am I talking about a game that comes out next week? Well, it's £3.59, and if you watch our Addictive Games series, this could easily be in there. Like, this is probably one of the most addictive games I've played in a very, very long time. Obviously, I can't talk about the Switch version, because if I did have a copy of that, that would definitely be under embargo, and I wouldn't want to break that. But let's talk about the PC version, which is very, very good. It's a really simple concept. You choose one of the characters, and you try and survive from waves and waves of enemies for as long as you can. It doesn't even sound fun, but it really is. The more of these gems you pick up, or these orbs, you level up, and each level you can choose a skill. You get more and more powerful, it gets more ridiculous. You get garlic, which kills enemies that get close to you. And I think where it is better than something like Brotato is in its meta progression. So you get money, so you essentially learn a load of gold, and you can buy permanent unlocks and make yourself permanently stronger, gain more health, get more money, you know the deal. It just gives it, I don't know, I just prefer that. And also there are several stages that you'll unlock, but you have to get really good to do that. Very enjoyable for £3.59. That is just, yeah, that's going to sell like hotcakes this week. A bit like that Quake that just came out, Quake 2. That's another one you should be picking up. And also Quake 1's on sale for like a few quid. And Night Dive deserve your cashish. Vampire Survivors is a mere 404 megs, and it comes out on August the 17th, so stick that in your wish list. If you're after a old school JRPG, but with a Western twist, then try Battle Chasers Night War. That one's down 70% until August the 21st, and the combat reminded me so much of Final Fantasy when I first played it. It's from Eshop Syndicate, who brought us the recent Darksiders Genesis, which is another game that's really underrated, and that's also on sale as well if you want to check it out. But they made the Ruined King game from the League of Legends universe, and that's another one. They've made some brilliant games that I think haven't received the acclaim they deserve. This one though features different dungeons. There are some puzzles, some secrets. There's a crafting system in here. It gets quite slow towards the end. That's probably an understatement. It gets very grindy, but it is an old school JRPG in that regard. It's just 2.6 gigs and one I thoroughly enjoyed. There is a review of that one on the channel as well. Subnautica is reminding me that I really must update my best survival games on Switch series, but both the first and second game are currently on sale. Now the first one you should definitely play first. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think in terms of being a complete package, I think it's a better experience. But I actually preferred the location of the second game. In the first one, you're in a tropical sea on an alien planet. You can build up your base, you're building your submarine, you're heading out. It's a little opaque at first and can be quite confusing. In fact, it's one of those where I think following just a basic guide is quite beneficial. But once you get to grips with it and the flow, going out on those little adventures is really quite cathartic. Now there are some janky moments as far as performance goes, but it's generally fine. But the sequel, as the title suggests, takes you to a frozen tundra, and you can go out onto land, and well, I say land, you can go out onto snow through frozen caves and things, and these do have stories that are kind of woven through them, but they're those experiential ones where you can find those elements, and then you'll have a voice acted cutscene play out and things. Both of those are currently £8.24 until August the 23rd. That is the cheapest they've ever been on Switch, and they have, well, the second has a 6.8 gigabyte download and the first a mere 5 gigas. If for some reason you've not picked up Ender Lilies Quietus of the Nights just yet, what's happening? Especially if you're a Hollow Knight fan. This one's 50% off at the moment, and it was developed by AdGlobe, I believe, and Livewire in collaboration. Now the story goes that the rain descended upon the land and transformed all the creatures, which became known as the Blighted. Everything got absolutely wrecked, and then as you'd expect, a small girl called Lily popped up with a double-R godlike companion to help her. Yeah, you wouldn't expect that at all, would you? What's cool about this are the spirits, those companions that you can end up, I say wielding, they act almost like weapons. But I think by the end of it, I can't remember how many I unlocked, but there's loads, and it keeps it interesting. It means that it doesn't feel like you're locked into one specific playstyle as far as weapons, in air quotes, go. And different ones are better for different bosses, and you do still have your different swords and magics to use. Gerard the Elder Warrior for the win. Great game. Really enjoyed that one, and that sale, as I said, goes on until August the 26th. Here's an interesting one. It's Torchlight 3. It's down 88%. The reason I say it's interesting is because you should buy Torchlight 2. Torchlight 2 is a much better game, and it's also on sale at the exact same price. But I will say, if you finish Torchlight 2, then Torchlight 3 for £4. It's worth it. It's just nowhere near as good as number 2, and it doesn't play like it. In fact, it was originally designed as a mobile release, I believe, and then they repackaged it and changed a few bits and bobs and then whacked it out on consoles. I could be slightly wrong with some of the details there, but I'm pretty sure that's what went down. Whereas Torchlight 2 was designed from the ground up for consoles, and you can tell. They're action RPGs from a top-down perspective. You can have little companions like a unicorn creature, and they're just great games. The thing they lack that, you know, rivals like Diablo have is the local co-op. It does have online co-op, but yeah, the only other way is to play LAN with a few switches, but you probably need multiple copies of the game. So yeah, a bit disappointing, but they are very good games, and if you need to get your Baldur's Gate itch scratched, then try these ones out. The hidden gem of the week this week is the excellent The Hand of Merlin. This is down to half price, £13.49, and it's a mishmash of a few different genres. On the one hand, it's like a tactical turn-based combat game set in a medieval time, but on the other, and this will be the bit that puts some people off, it is actually has semi-roguelite elements. What do I mean semi-roguelite? Well, you do take a path, and the narrative is non-linear, but although it's non-linear, it's still coherent, and you gradually piece it together through those runs, which is the best way of doing it with a roguelite. There are also completely new areas that you gradually move to. Now, this was written by Jonas, I'm going to say Kriats, but he wrote the Talos Principle as well as Serious Sam 4, slightly juxtaposed to there. And what it does well is in the choices it gives the player and the way those change throughout the game. It has very much a choose-your-own-adventure feel at times. This one was developed by Room C Games. It was published by Versus Evil. It's just 3.2 gigs, and it's one of those I think you could complete in a weekend, like about 8 to 10 hours maybe. But as with all roguelites, there's the potential there for multiple playthroughs. Yeah, fun game that. Consider it. And then I can hear in the distant hills the rustling of Savaloys and cheap Costco hot dogs with a soda. Because now we're going to look at a few games that are cheaper than the prices of those things. Well, actually no, Costco one doesn't really work. And I know a lot of you have posted the names of your regional delicacies, and I'm looking through the comments and I just can't find them. So to appease an old man, post me the names of your regional air quote delicacy that's very cheap and probably most people won't eat, so that I can Google them and have a bit of a chuckle. Nice one. First up then on our Savaloy selection this week, we have Farm Tycoon, which is down 95% to a mere 89 pence. That is ludicrous. Probably get about 8 chips for that. This one they actually created their own engine for, and it's a very nice little farming game. It does have a couple of bugs and, you know, a few quirks here and there, but for 89p, you can't really go too far wrong. Then you got Sword of the Vagrant, which I absolutely loved over on Steam, and it came out on Switch and had no fanfare at all. It's down 50%. Don't tell anyone, but it does not fit the Savaloy Selection's usual criteria, so I apologise profusely. But a few of the games in our main list did, so who cares? Let's carry on. But there are loads of very cool monsters, 6 huge levels to work through, and 10 pretty damn difficult boss fights. It's a good game. You should certainly consider it. Apologies, it's not Savaloy, as it's a bit too expensive. Wildcat Gun Machine, however, definitely is. It's 80% off, which is the cheapest it's ever been, and it's a bullet hell shooter, believe it or not, but from the perspective of an isometric cat. I really like this. I thought this was good fun. It just didn't like set, you know, like you play some games, you're like they're really enjoyable, but they don't. What is it? It just doesn't tickle that little tickly thing. It doesn't quite hit the button. You know what I mean? It's really good, but it doesn't quite. Oh come on, I can't think of the words, but you know what I mean. Hopefully. There are 40 different guns, there are some tough bosses. It just didn't quite, insert words meaning reach epic status. That one's on sale till September the 10th. And then all you're left with for the week is a game that you should avoid because it's absolute trash. And what's it gonna be? Will it be Horse Club Adventures? No, it won't. Good game. No, it's not. Will it be Jigsaw Fun, Greatest Cities? No, it won't. This week's winner, and you wouldn't believe me if I told you, is Waves Running Simulator. Surfing Hyper Running Casual 3D games. I know. There are 50 different beaches that you can run on. And as you run, there's an ever-present threat from a tsunami. But Mark, it has 8 different playable characters, 4 girls and 4 boys. Or so says the description. It looks like a whole lot of fun. Well, it's not. It's absolute pony. And I sincerely wish I hadn't spent 99p on it. But, potentially I'll make a full video on it, so I might make that 99p back. Don't buy it. It's trash. And that, my friends, is the end of another episode. Do leave your null comments, click all the buttons, tickle the algorithm if you want to. If you don't, then don't bother. Just enjoy yourself. Have a cup of tea. Maybe a rich tea biscuit. Ooh, good biscuits those. Just don't dunk too hard and lose the end. And thanks to our Patreons and our members, and to all of you that enjoy the content. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See you!